You're good. Tom, we're live streaming, so whenever you want to start.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our Tuesday, March 1st, 2022 Clay County Planning and Zoning meeting. We've got a few housekeeping rules, please. Tonight we will hear 8 cases. We will begin with a report from the Planning and Zoning staff, and then we'll summarize each case prior to any discussion the board members may have. We will then ask the applicant to step up to the podium to ask or answer any questions and present additional support of their application. We ask the applicant to begin by stating their name and address for the record as these meetings are recorded. We will then ask for any public participation that may support the case being heard, and then anyone that may oppose the case being heard. Again, asking any participant to begin by stating their name and address. Please remember the topic of discussion needs to remain pertinent to the case being heard. The purpose of the Planning and Zoning Board is to hear the cases and make recommendations to the Clay County Commission. The Commission will review and decide the cases heard tonight on March 23rd, 2022 at 3 p.m. in this room. Could we begin tonight with a roll call of attendance?
Yes, Chairman. Terry Griffin,
Present.
David Rodas,
Present.
Chris Higgins, Brad Scarlett, Marvin Davis,
Present.
and Chairman Tom Decker.
Present. Could we have a motion to approve the minutes of our February 1st, 2022 meeting as presented?
Motion to approve. Second.
Very well. Could we have a roll call vote?
David Rodas,
Approve.
Marvin Davis,
Approve.
Terry Griffin,
Approve.
Chairman Tom Decker.
Approve.
Motion carries.
The first case we will hear tonight is case number March 22-115P. And could we have a staff report, please?
Chairman, I would like to add the staff report to the official record.
So be it.
For this case, we have Susan Dean is requesting a preliminary and a final plat approval. This property is located approximately at 18401 Northeast 122nd Street. The property is located in the urban services tier of the comprehensive plan, which indicates, gives the recommendation or kind of our guide that we are looking for more of a 10-acre lot size. This property, let me grab this lot size is a little bit above 25 acres. 69, just kind of give an idea, 69 Highway is just south of this property. We have some other subdivisions just north of that, directly across the street. Since this is not a rezoning, the property the property that's in discussion, we didn't put this in the newspaper since we did not have to do a rezoning. They've gotten preliminary approval from Health, Water, and the local fire district. Clay County Highway Department is requesting the barn be removed from the right-of-way. In addition, the Highway Department would prefer that the barn be completely demolished due to site limits at the curve. Terry, the highway administrator here, would be able to elaborate a little bit more. And from my understanding, the applicant is going to demolish the barn entirely. And Kip, if we can zoom in on that, just to kind of give an idea. So that property's setting right into the right-of-way, right on the curve. So that's kind of one of the reasons where highway's coming from in terms of trying to get it moved, or what they prefer, get it demolished. There is a 50-foot gas line easement for Missouri Gas Energy that runs through subject parcel. Let's take a look. There is a floodplain that does encompass some of the subject parcel. But yeah, this request in staff's opinion meets the standards set forth by the Land Development Code and the 2008 Comprehensive Plan, and should be approved in our opinion. Staff would be happy to answer any questions the commissioners might have, and the applicant is present.
All right, very well, thank you, Shane. Do any more board members have questions for staff regarding the application?
And Chairman, if there are no questions, I may just add a couple things.
You bet, Kip, go right ahead.
So this isn't a rezoning, and the reason for that is if you create a lot that's greater than 20 acres, you can keep your ag zoning. So the whole property is zoned agricultural now, and it's a large acreage, so it's roughly 80 acres there. So they're creating this 25-acre lot here, and we are not platting the rest of the acreage because it meets one of the exemptions. If you do lots that are greater than 40 acres with 100 feet of road frontage with access, which means you get a driveway permit on that 40 acres, then you do not have to plat that 40 acres. And that's why this is shown as a one-lot subdivision. So we don't get a whole lot of these, but that's why the rest of the acreage is not shown on the plat, and we just have the one lot shown on the plat. And like Shane said, the most unique thing about this is this barn that was super close to the road, and it exists within the county right-of-way, and Shane discussed that as well. And that's all I wanted to add.
So is that presently in a shared driveway just south and to the west?
It may have been used as a shared driveway at one point, but that's totally on that property. If I pull up that plat, it does not indicate it is shared at this point.
Yeah.
So the lot that we're creating over here will have its own access off its own frontage.
Okay. All right, very well. Do any other members have questions for staff? If the applicant's present, if you want to come up to the podium, state your name and address.
I'm Susan Dean, and I'm here to get this plat divided. My current address now is at 416 Arthur Avenue in Bonner Springs.
Mrs. Dean, is your microphone turned on?
It's got a green light.
Okay, well, you're good to go then.
Okay,
Having a hard time hearing you.
I'm sorry. And I'm here to get the 25 acres platted. I've completed all the applications and have put that in and reviewed it, and then I've also found someone to demolish the barn and take out the concrete as well. So that's going to be done in the next couple of weeks.
All right. Tim, anything else you want to add to support your application?
Not really.
Okay. And you understand the staff's report and
Yes.
you're good with all that?
Right.
Yep. All right. Do the board members have questions for the applicant? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone in the audience that would like to comment in support of the case being heard? Is there anyone in the audience that would like to comment in opposition to the case being heard? With no further discussion, I would call for a motion to either approve or deny the preliminary plat of Dean Acres.
I'll move to approve.
And that'd be with the conditions?
Conditions.
Is that right?
Yes, sir.
All right. You have a second?
Second.
Very well, to have roll call vote.
Marvin Davis,
Approve with condition.
David Rotis,
Approve with condition.
Terry Griffin,
Approve with condition.
and Chairman Tom Decker.
Approve with condition.
Motion carries.
The next case we'll hear this evening is case number March 22-116F. Could we have a staff report, please?
Chairman, I'd like to add the staff report to the official record.
So be it.
So this is going to be essentially pretty much the same exact report I just gave. We're talking about the same exact property. This is going to be for the final plat version of it. When doing this, we look at the review procedures and submittal content for a final plat must be substantial compliance with the approval with the approved preliminary plat in accordance with the requirements under section 151-3.6D of the Clay County 2011 Land Development Code. Based on all the materials and evidence presented, the subject request appears to comply with the LDCA and preliminary plat. The conditions are going to be essentially the same as the preliminary. It deals with the barn being demolished. And again, the request in staff's opinion meets the standards set forth by the Land Development Code and the 2008 Comprehensive Plan and should be approved. Staff would be happy to answer any other questions the commissioners might have, and the applicant is also present.
All right, thank you, Shane. Any board members have a question for staff? Would the applicant please step up to the podium, state your name and address, please? See, you should have sat down there, huh?
I'm Susan Dean, and I'm currently at 416 Arthur Avenue, Bonner Springs, Kansas.
Okay, I think this is more of a formality than anything, Mrs. Dean, but you understand the staff's report and...
Yes, I do.
Good, okay. Do any board members have questions for the applicant? All right, thank you, ma'am. Yep. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to comment in support of the case being heard? Is there anyone in the audience that would like to comment that opposes the case being heard? With no further discussion, I would call for a motion to approve or deny the final plat of Dean Acres with the condition attached in Exhibit A.
I'll move to approve with condition.
Very well, do you have a second?
Second.
Have a roll call vote?
Marvin Davis,
Approve with condition.
David Rotis,
Approve with condition.
Terry Griffin,
Approve with condition.
Chairman Tom Decker.
Approve with condition.
Motion carries.
Okay, you can rest now. Okay, the next case we will hear this evening is case number March 22-117, RZ/P. And could we have a staff report, please? So be it.
All right. No, that's good. I accidentally knocked it off. Okay. This is Potter's Pride. It is, the applicants are Don and Kathy Cheney, and they're representing Norma Easley. They're requesting a rezoning from ag zone property to R1 for proposed lots 1 and 2, which you can see 1 and 2 are that purple and that light blue, and then R5 for the proposed lot 3 and final plat approval. This property is located approximately 18515 Old BB Highway and consists of roughly 37 acres. The subject property falls under the rural low density tier of the comprehensive plan and recommends a minimum of 5 acres. The subdivision that's they're proposing, lots 1 and 2 are 10 plus acres, and the third lot is a 6 plus acres. So in our opinion, it does meet the comprehensive plan and what we're wanting to see in the rural low density tier, according to the comprehensive plan. The main thing with this one is essentially what's being done here is we're adding just one additional lot, and that's going to be your Lot 3, and changing the property lines between Lot 2 and Lot 1. The applicant will be able to kind of give a further explanation why that property line's the way it is. The rezoning application was properly noticed in the Courier Tribune on February 10th, and certified letters notifying adjacent property owners were sent out on February 10th as well. They received all preliminary approvals from necessary outside agencies. Within the findings of our report, the ponds are located on proposed lots 2 and 3, have been inspected by the Natural Resource Conservation District, and they deem that both are in good condition and good wildlife locations. Northwest Electric has an existing 100-foot wide easement that crosses proposed lots 1 and 2. Also, there is some existing floodplain between lots 1 and 2. Let's see. This request in staff's opinion meets the standards set forth by the Land Development Code and the 2008 Comprehensive Plan, and we believe it should be approved. Staff would be happy to answer any questions the commissioners might have, and the applicants are present.
All right, thank you, Shane. I did have a question. I spoke with Kip earlier today. Do you know approximately where the original property line was between lots 1 and 2?
Yeah, so where he's highlighting right there
Yeah.
is going to be the would be, I don't want to misspeak, but would be Lot 2 currently, and then
So
that
that
would
was
be
lot
all Lot
1. And, okay, so the property line for lot 2 moved north, and then lot 3 is taken out of the remainder of lot 6.
correct.
Lot 1, I'm sorry. Okay,
And Chairman, I'll add, there's existing houses on this lot and this lot. So we're talking about the possibility of one additional lot where one house could be built.
yeah,
The center line of this stream has basically become the new property line. It's my understanding this field down here wasn't very useful for this lot, so it kind of makes a little more sense. It also gets, you can see that property line is really pretty close. It's about 50 feet to that house. It gives them a little more buffer from the adjacent property as well.
all right, very well. Thank you, Shane and Kip. Do the board members have questions for staff? If the applicant's present, if you want to step up to the podium, state your name and address, please.
My name is Kathy Cheney. I live at 18515 Old BB, Holt, Missouri. We've been working with Kip and Shane for 4 to 6 months now on this whole thing, and we think we've supplied all the required documents that have been asked of us and met all the criteria that Clay County has asked of us also. And we're hoping tonight to move forward, is our hope.
So do you live in the Lot 2 location now?
Yes, yes.
Okay, very well.
We just kind of wanted that additional property to keep it the way it was, just,
So the blue line stream will become the new
yes.
boundary, which
Yes.
makes a kind of a funky property line, but it makes sense to do what you're doing.
Yes, our biggest concern was we didn't want anyone buying Lot 1 and who knows what they would put there down the road.
Yeah.
You know, we just wanted to keep
Yeah.
it nice the way it was.
All right. Do any of the board members have questions for the applicant? All right, thank you. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to comment that supports the application? Is there anyone in the audience that would like to comment that opposes the application? With no further discussion, I would call for a motion to either approve or deny the rezoning of Potter's Pride as presented.
I'll move to approve with condition.
Very well, do you have a second?
Second.
Yeah, roll call vote.
Marvin Davis,
Approve with conditions.
David Rotis,
Approve.
Terry Griffin,
Approve with conditions.
and Chairman Tom Decker.
Approve.
Motion carries.
I think we can roll right into the preliminary plat. And I would call for a motion to either approve or deny the preliminary plat of Potter's Pride with the conditions attached as set out in Exhibit A.
Move to approve with conditions.
Very well, do you have a second?
Second.
Okay, roll call vote.
Marvin Davis,
Approve with conditions.
David Rotis,
Approve with condition.
Terry Griffin,
Approve with conditions.
and Chairman Tom Decker.
Approve with conditions.
Motion carries.
The next case we'll hear this evening is case number March 22-118F. And could we have a staff's report, please?
Chairman, I would like to add the staff report to the official record.
So be it.
So this is just going to be, again, kind of similar to the previous case. The final plat's just going to be kind of a brief overview of basically what we did with the preliminary plat. The biggest thing we look at here is whether we believe that it complies with the LDC and the preliminary plat that they applied with. And we do believe that it does comply with that section of code. And we would be happy to answer any questions in regards to this, the final plat. And again, the applicant is present.
All right, very well. Thank you, Shane. Any board members have questions for staff? If the applicant could please step up to the podium and state your name and address.
Kathy Cheney, 18515 Old BB, Holt, Missouri.
And Ms. Cheney, do you have anything to add that would support your application? Right. Do any of the board members have questions for the applicant?
Yeah, actually, who lives in the house in Lot 1?
I'm sorry, do
Who
what?
lives in the house in Lot 1?
Norma Easley.
Okay.
And so Ms. Easley authorized the Cheneys to go through this process. She was part of the first set of meetings, but kind of wanted the Cheneys to handle this for her.
Okay.
And we have an owner's authorization form that gets notarized, that gets filled out if we have a case like that.
Okay.
All right, any other questions for the applicant? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone in the audience who would like to comment on the case being heard that opposes the application? Is there anyone in the audience who would like to comment that supports the application? With no further discussion, I would ask for a motion to either approve or deny the final plat of Potter's Pride with the conditions attached as set out in Exhibit A.
Move to approve with conditions.
Very well, do you have a second?
Second.
Roll call vote.
Marvin Davis,
Approve with conditions.
David Rotis,
Approve with condition.
Terry Griffin,
Approve with conditions.
and Chairman Tom Decker.
Approve with conditions.
Motion carries, and now we'll let you leave, I guess. The next case we'll hear this evening is case number March
119RZ/P. And could we have a staff report, please?
Yes, Chairman, would like to add the staff report as part of the official record.
So be it.
So this is a rezoning and preliminary for a subdivision called Walker Ranch, and I apologize, I got the loud mic today. So this one's unique. So you can see I've got the property pulled up on the screen there. The proposal is to subdivide the approximately 19 acres into 2 lots. There's an existing, actually they're in the process of building a home on Lot 2, and the old home is going to be demolished on Lot 2. And their proposal is to have that be a roughly 14-acre lot, and then create Lot 1, which would be a 4.99-acre lot. So there's a bunch of different things that we look at, especially with a case this unique. Do want to show, if I can, the comp plan map. Oh, here it is, maybe. So the planning tier map, what this guides us on lot sizes. So I think this is relevant for this case because this property is right over by the Clay County Airport, or IMNAC, and it's in this peach or salmon area, which is the urban services tier, which the 2008 comprehensive plan guides us that we should do a 10+ acre lot in this area. Obviously, we have a couple issues with doing that on this property. One, we don't have 20 acres where we can do 2 10-acre lots. And secondarily, we don't have enough road frontage to do 2 10-acre lots. Each lot that's greater than 5 acres would require 300 feet of road frontage. We don't have 600 feet of road frontage to do 300 feet per lot. We have some railroad tracks to the east, and we have large acreage to the west. And that comprehensive plan is a guide. It's not you have to do it this way. There is some gray area there. If we're asking for an exception from the land development code, then a variance would be required. But there is not a variance application for going against the guidance in the comp plan. So I'm going to zoom out here as well, just so you can see the surrounding area, because it is a big mix of different sized properties. There's large acreages that are just farms, and then if you go 1/2 to 3/4 of a mile to the east, there are a bunch of 3-acre lots that were done under the previous regulations. And my map is really slow today, but you can see the airport, if it updates here. Airport is to the south. You see a lot of these 3-acre lots to the east, and then some large farm acreages surrounding the property as well. The other unique thing about this property is it's within a mile of 3 different cities. And the reason that's relevant is one of the exceptions to the 10-acre minimum is if one of those cities within a mile would grant an exemption to the lot size. So in this case, we reached out to Kearney and Excelsior Springs. Mosby doesn't have a planning and zoning department, so there's not much we can do there. They would have to go in front of the city council to be granted a written comment from Mosby. But we reached out to Kearney and Excelsior and did not get formal comments back, but both those jurisdictions indicated that they would not supply an exemption letter for this property. Now, they did not oppose either, but they didn't give a definite, 5-acre lot or 4.99-acre lot meets our annexation area. Now, the reason we went down to 4.99 acres is that gets us to an RU zoning, and that's just the reason we did that is once you go less than 5, the road frontage requirement goes from 300 feet to 140 feet. So that's why you see just a little bit of road frontage here. This one meets the width to depth ratio. We left most of the road frontage with Lot 2 so it could meet the width to depth ratio as well. Now, Highway kind of threw us a curveball not at the last minute, I shouldn't say that, sorry Terry. Highway threw us a curveball because on the plat, they put 45 feet of right of way. Highway department only wants 40 feet. So that is, technically, it's going to do 2 things. It's going to increase the depth of the lot by 5 feet, which is going to make Lot 2 not meet the width to depth ratio. and it's gonna make Lot 1 over 5 acres. Now, we're gonna, if approved, we can fix that. What we're gonna do is, we have enough road frontage that we can give Lot 2 a little more road frontage, make Lot 1 less than 5 acres, and make Lot 2 meet the width to depth ratio. So I hope that makes sense. This is a complicated case, and the reason, you know, we met with the Walkers, they can probably tell you for sure, but it's been over months of time. And we've tried to find a way for them to subdivide their property, but it's difficult because of the lack of frontage, the area it's located. They did attempt to try to buy some frontage from the property to the west. That was not successful, and obviously they don't have a whole lot of options since they're butted up against the railroad tracks to the east. So we felt, rather than do a variance, we felt this met everything except for the guidance in the comp plan. So this is the best route to go, but staff recommended denial because I feel we've been pretty consistent on this. We feel part of our job is to enforce the comprehensive plan. But as I stated, that is there is some gray area in that, and I'm going to supply some additional details at the end of the meeting to the Planning and Zoning Commissioners because there may be some movement on updating the comp plan. But as it currently sits, it guides us to do 10 plus acres in this area. I will point out the applicant did receive all their outside agency approvals, so they checked all those boxes. I mentioned the different lot sizes, and we can look at those in more detail if the Planning and Zoning Commissioners wish to. We talked about the right-of-way from the Highway Department. As I stated, staff is recommending denial. However, if you do vote to approve, we are recommending 2 conditions. First condition is just some changes to the plat. And then the second one would be that the surveyor supply us with an exhibit showing they meet that 1:4 width to depth ratio. I'd be happy to answer any questions the commissioners may have. The applicant is present and does want to make some comments as well. And I hope that makes sense, but please feel free to ask me questions.
All right, thank you, Kip. Any board members have questions for staff? If the applicant would step up to the podium, state your name and address, and anything to add to support your application?
Yeah, I'm Teresa Walker, 23026 Northeast 140th Street. It's in Excelsior Springs, and we just are wanting to build a second house on our property for our adult daughter and her family. And we, like Kip said, we got all the paperwork that was asked, and we're not really asking anything different that's not already been done, because like he pointed out, all the smaller properties, there were 26 properties under the 5 acres within the 3/4 mile radius, and is what we came up with on that. And we just didn't think that it would impact the other properties around the area in a bad way. It should increase their value as well. And do you have any questions? It's.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Walker. Does any board members have questions for the applicant?
No, I can testify that the Walker, they're not going to oppose on anybody. They keep their place real nice and because they're a neighbor of mine.
Yeah, and all the houses are going to match.
I think we've made exceptions in the past, obviously, at least since I've been on this board, and I like the fact that,
Yeah, my opinion on the 10-acre
yeah,
is,
and especially if you're selling it to a family member. I think it'd be
Yes.
a little bit different if you were gonna sell it to somebody you didn't know, but. Sorry, Kip. Gonna do it again.
No, that's why you're on the board, so we're not going to get our feelings hurt, and we tell the applicants, we want to find a way for them to do what they want to do. And we felt this was the best option, and if you go against staff's recommendation, we are good with that.
Within a mile or so circle, there's as many houses on 3 acres or less than there are on 100 acres or 30 or whatever.
And I will point out, there is a less than an acre lot just right across the street. So now, hopefully, we won't do anything like that, and I do like the lots, you know, I get concerned when we get lots under 4 acres, because then you have trouble with the size of houses people built, their accessory structures, their septic, their geothermal. Then you have trouble with placement, but this one is as close to 5 acres as we can get, so I don't think we're gonna have issues like that. So,
The railroad just took all our road frontage.
So Kip, just a quarter mile or less to the east, on the south side of 140th is a 1 acre tract, is that correct?
yes, if I measure,
That one right there?
it is, yeah, about 1,100 feet. And, yeah, I'm sure it was done years and years ago. Hopefully, we wouldn't do that now, but it shows as .92 acres. And then the 3 to 5 acre lots are about half to 3/4 of a mile to the east. And I believe those are on septics, those are not on
Ms.
private
Walker,
sewer.
what, you said there was 30-some places?
26.
26 on 3 acres or less, within 3/4
Yeah,
of a
under.
mile,
Under 5 acres.
under
Mhm.
5 acres. Do the board members have any other questions for the applicant? Okay. Very well, thank you.
Okay, I was just going to add one more thing. We
Yes, ma'am.
did do our perk test already for the health department, and that passed and everything
All
for
right.
that.
All right.
Thank you.
Yep, don't leave yet. Don't leave the room. Stay close to the podium.
And Chairman, I took off the aerial, and you could kind of see the smaller lots a little bit better without the aerial image on.
All right, is there anyone in the audience that would like to comment on the case being heard that supports the applicant? Is there anyone in the audience that would like to comment that opposes the application? Well, I would have to add that it's coming, personally, I'm in a catch-22 because we've got, the county has a comprehensive plan, and we've got a land development code, and based on the location of this property, the minimum lot size should be 10 acres. But 1,100 feet to the east, we got .9 acres. We have 26 lots, 5 acres or less, within 3/4 of a mile, and technically, it should be denied, but I would have to side with my constituents. Anyway, I would call for a motion to rezone the proposed Walker Ranch property.
I'm gonna move to approve.
Second.
Very well, do we have roll call vote?
Marvin Davis,
Approve.
David Rotis,
Approve.
Terry Griffin,
Approve.
Chairman Tom Decker.
Approve.
Motion carries.
I think we can roll right into the preliminary plat that Kip just got done going over. And I would call for a motion to either approve or deny the preliminary plat for Walker Ranch with the conditions in Exhibit A attached.
I'll move to approve with conditions.
Very well, do you have a second?
Second.
Do you have a roll call vote?
Marvin Davis,
Approve with conditions.
David Rotis,
Approve with condition.
Terry Griffin,
Approve with conditions.
and Chairman Tom Decker.
Approve with conditions.
Motion carries.
Next case here this evening is case number March 22-120F. And could we have a staff's report, please?
Yes, Chairman, would like to add the staff report as part of the official record.
So be it.
So this is the final plat for Walker Ranch, the case we just previously heard. It must be in compliance with the approved preliminary plat, also in accordance with the requirements under Section 151-3.6D of the 2011 Land Development Code. Staff believes that this final plat does match and adhere to the preliminary plat. So this is basically a duplicate of the previous case, with Planning and Zoning Commission voting to approve the rezoning and preliminary. I would recommend that you approve the final plat as well with the two conditions. And I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
All right, thank you, Kip. Do any board members have questions for staff? Would the applicant please step to the podium, state your name and address?
Teresa Walker, 23026 Northeast 140th Street, Excelsior Springs.
Teresa, do you have anything else you'd like to add that would support your application?
I don't think so at this time, thank you.
Okay. Do any board members have questions for the applicant? Okay. Thank you. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to comment on the case that opposes this application? Is there anyone in the audience that would like to comment on the case that supports the application? No further discussion. I would call for a motion to either approve or deny the final plat of Walker Ranch with the conditions attached as listed in Exhibit A.
I'll move to approve with conditions.
Very well. Do you have a second?
Second.
Okay, roll call vote.
Marvin Davis,
Approve with conditions.
David Rotis,
Approve with condition.
Terry Griffin,
Approve with conditions.
Chairman Tom Decker.
Approve with conditions.
Motion carries.
The next case we will hear this evening is case number March 22-121 CUP. And could we have a staff's report, please?
Yes, Chairman, would like to add the staff report as part of the official record.
So be it.
So hopefully my computer updates here. This is a conditional use permit request for a public stable. I'm going to zoom out here just a little bit so you can see it. It's outlined in the yellow. It's approximately 40 acres. It is about as far north as you can get. It's on Clinton County Line Road. And the proposal is to operate a public stable. You can see it outlined in yellow. This is a property we recently subdivided off of Northeastern, and there's J Highway to the west, Clinton County line just to the north. So this is handled under several sections of the Land Development Code, which include requiring that a business plan be submitted, which the applicant has, and that information was included in the report. I'm not going to go over in detail. The applicant may touch on some of the business plan items. This is located in the natural resources tier, which is the area generally around Smithville Lake. You can see the reservoir just to the south and east of the property. This case was noticed in the Courier Tribune, and adjacent property owners were sent certified letters. The use table in Chapter 6 of the Land Development Code requires that a conditional use permit be granted for any public use or public stable. And then there's also a section for the conditional use permits that has 6 criteria, which should be addressed for each conditional use permit, and those start on page 6 of the staff report. Staff believes that the application meets all of those 6 criteria. There's also additional criteria in the Land Development Code that talks about animals and how many animals you can have, and that's based on acreage. With this being slightly bigger than 39 acres, a horse counts as 1 animal unit, and you're allowed 1 animal unit per acre, so they would be allowed a total of 39 horses on the property. Now, there's other rules and regulations that talk about devegetation, cleaning up manure, limiting flies, things like that, that would have to be addressed as well. And I think the applicant may talk about the number of horses that they're going to have on the property, and it's quite a few less than 39, I believe. With any public use, there will also be parking requirements. Based on staff's calculation, 4 parking spaces would be required, with one of those spaces required to be an ADA space. Staff believes there's adequate room to create those parking spaces between the existing buildings. And you'll notice that's one of the conditions that the parking is addressed. The applicant did receive all their outside agency approvals. This one's a little bit unique. Clinton County maintains that road. It is a gravel road, and Clinton County indicated that they do not need to issue a permit for this use. The applicant is not proposing to add any restrooms. They are proposing to use a porta potty for the public. That's not totally unique. We have some other uses like Carolyn's Pumpkin Patch that they bring in porta potties as well. So a health department approval was not required, and the property is also served by well water. So staff is recommending approval, and I'll pull up the staff report here in a minute to show the conditions, but we're recommending a 10-year time period. Every conditional use permit has an expiration date, and when that time period comes up, if they still want to use the property that way, then they would need to apply for a conditional use permit renewal application. We have the total number of horses limited to 39, and apparently I was so excited about that, I put that in there twice. So you'll notice that that condition is duplicated. And then we have the parking in there as well, and then a couple conditions on making sure that the lot stays vegetated and that the manure is handled properly. With that being said, we're recommending approval, and I would be happy to answer any questions the commissioners may have. And the applicant is present and would like to make a statement as well.
All right, thank you, Kip. Do any of the board members have questions for staff? If the applicant is present, could you step up to the podium and state your name and address, please?
Courtney and David Majors, address is 7007 North Campbell Street, Kansas City, Missouri.
All right, do you have anything you'd like to add that supports your application?
Yes, sir. As someone who grew up with horses in Florida and has had horses in this area the last few years, my partners and I have come across a need. We've been on multiple waiting lists with all the facilities in the area. And when this opportunity arose in October, we wanted to jump on it. Creating this business has always been a dream of mine. Horses have always been my passion, and my partners as well, along with my husband. And our goal, along with our business and our mission statement, is to create a community, a family-friendly community where kids can grow up and have fun in the summer. And with that, we just hope for your approval and thank you for your time.
So I guess this Becky Keith, is she the property owner? Is she going to be the manager of the stable, or are you all managing the stable, or?
She is the property owner, will be managing. She has full-time employment
Let's see.
and will be living on property.
So you two will be living on the property?
Yes, sir.
All right. There we go. Do any board members have any questions for the applicant?
How far is the water line? Because you're using well water, correct?
Yes.
Or, and will be?
Water District said it was 700 feet away,
Okay.
which I will add is generally, like if somebody was requesting, the current code says if you're requesting well water for residential use, the county commission has to approve it. And generally 700 feet would be far enough for well water for residential to be approved.
Seems like we've had a lot of zoning in this area, and water's been a perpetual issue, or the lack of water.
Yeah, the lots 1 and 2 that we just subdivided not too long ago, those were approved for well water as
Yeah.
well, because they couldn't get access either without running it quite a ways.
Okay, you can just hang tight right there for a minute.
Yes, sir,
Okay.
take time.
Is there anyone in the audience that would like to comment on the case being heard that opposes this application? Is there anyone in the audience that would like to comment that supports this application? Well, with no further discussion, I would call for a motion to either deny or approve the conditional use permit for the Tri-Circle Stables LLC with the conditions attached as set out in Exhibit A.
I move we approve
With conditions,
with conditions.
do you have a second?
Second.
Very well, can we roll call vote?
Marvin Davis,
Approve with conditions.
David Rotis,
Approve with conditions.
Terry Griffin,
Approve with conditions.
Chairman Tom Decker.
Approve with conditions.
Motion carries.
You're free to go.
Yes, sir, thank you. Y'all have a great evening.
Yep. Okay, our next case we'll hear,
Yeah, you guys.
oh, I'm sorry. Yep. You don't find this entertaining? I mean, like,
Thank you.
no, you can tell everybody you went to court last night. The next case we'll hear is case number February 22-114A. And could we have a staff's report, please?
Yes, Chairman, would like to add the staff report as part of the official record.
So be it.
So this is the proposed amendment to the 2011 Land Development Code, deals with beekeeping and accessory dwelling units. So I'm just going to give you the cliff notes, and you can ask questions if you wish. So we did not change anything from last month. The biggest difference in beekeeping is the current code requires you to have 3 acres to keep bees. After doing research of adjacent jurisdictions, we were one of the most restrictive on that. So I think the proposed amendment opens more properties up to beekeeping where we don't have a minimum acreage, but it also tries to protect the adjacent property owners where the beehives have to be a certain distance from either property lines or residences. And it also requires a water source to be next to the hive. And then if a parcel is less than 3 acres and the hive is within 75 feet, we're going to require what's called a flyway barrier to be at least 6 feet in height around the hive. And what that does, and I by no means am an expert on beekeeping, but my understanding is that that could be a hedgerow, it could be a fence, and it just, when the bees come out of the hive, it requires them to gain altitude, and it disperses the bees better where they do not bother the adjacent property owners as much. So I think this is a good amendment, but would be happy to answer any questions on it. And then the other one is to do with accessory dwelling units. which again, the accessory dwelling unit is the exception to having a secondary house on a subject property. The goal here is to clean up this code, make it easier to understand, and make planning and zoning staff a little bit, their job a little bit easier. It limits it, and I think the intent all along was to limit it. It's supposed to visually look like it's a smaller version of a home. We're trying to get away from not having two homes on a property because that creates all kinds of issues with people trying to sell properties that aren't subdivided, things like that. But this would allow accessory dwelling units still, but it would limit them to 850 square feet or 33%, 850 square feet of living area or 33% of the footprint of the main dwelling. So let's say you have a giant 6,000 square foot home. This code would allow a 2,000 square foot accessory dwelling unit, but only 850 square feet of that 2,000 feet could be living space. The rest would have to be garage/storage. Now, if you just have, let's say you have a 2,500 square footprint home, then you would be limited to the 850 square feet of living space plus 350 square foot of garage storage, which is standard for a one-car garage with a little bit of storage. Again, our building inspector did a lot of this research, went to local jurisdiction meetings, and this is an attempt to line up with both the building code and local jurisdictions as well. We're recommending approval. Obviously, this would need to go to the county commission as well, but we would be happy to answer any questions commissioners may have.
What's considered a water source next to a beehive?
Oh, that's a good question.
Bowl of water?
Yeah. I would just need to see that there's water available to the bees. I think I took that from some local jurisdictions code, and I think the key is there. If they have water there, they're not going to congregate around somebody's pool.
Okay.
I will add that there is a nuisance even if they met all these requirements, if there still is, if it would be considered a nuisance, that we could go through the code enforcement route as well.
Do we have very many complaints on that?
I've had one in my 7 years.
Yeah.
Now, I will tell you, like the City of Liberty, they have no bee regulations, and they only require that accessory structures be 5 feet from a property line. So you could place a beehive in Liberty within 5 feet of the property line.
You know, when it really comes down to it, when you get to a heavy residential area, I bet you're gonna see as many bees. I mean, they're more open in things that, it's kind of like when the birds migrate, they don't look at, they might get to the outskirts of the fields for a food source, they're not gonna look at, you know, downtown Kansas City and go, ooh, that's where I want to stop.
For sure. Now, this part of the reason this started is we had what we would consider a dense subdivision, and we had a complaint on a beehive. But I believe if this code was in place and they met it, we wouldn't have had a complaint. They made the mistake of putting their beehive on the back property line where 4 properties converged, and it affected people mowing their lawn. They didn't want to mow around all those bees. And since then, they've moved it. I think they meet these regulations now, and it hasn't become, it's not an issue at this point.
I think, Kip, I was going through some old planning and zoning stuff today, and it seemed like we amended the beekeeping text and the accessory dwelling unit text in 2019. Does that ring a bell to you?
Yes, we did, because we thought we were opening it up and being proactive, because it was a 5 acre minimum. to have bees, and we lowered it to 3 acres at that point. And we thought that was a good change. Obviously, staff didn't do a good enough job on the research. I'll blame myself, because we should have done this at that point, in my opinion.
Well, I think what we did in 2019, we upgraded what we had previously, and I don't know when that text was drafted, but I think we're on the right track to update with what you've submitted to us this evening, and I'm in agreement with it. So, do any board members have any other questions or comments for staff? Does our legal counsel have any comment? Well, of course, staff is recommending approval with no attachments. So, anyway, I would call for a motion to approve or deny the updates on the LDC regulating beekeeping and the accessory dwelling units as presented.
I'll move to approve.
Very well, do we have a second?
Second.
Could we have a roll call vote?
Marvin Davis.
Approve.
David Rotis. Terry Griffin.
Approve.
Chairman Tom Decker.
Approve.
Motion carries.
Well, that's the last case on our agenda. If staff has anything else to add while we're still in session?
Yeah, just a couple items. We will have a meeting next month. It's just going to be a couple cases. And the previous cases, which I think the most controversial one was the Cardinal Hill, which was at 112th and Crockett. They were approved by the county commission, so those have been approved. And then the last item that I think I'll add is there's been some discussion about updating the comprehensive plan. So that talk has started. I just want the planning and zoning commissioners to be aware of that, start thinking about that. We'll have, that'll be quite the process, and will take some time to do, and we would want to do a land development code full overhaul as well. And it would most likely include an outside agency helping us through that process and a bunch of public meetings. The unique thing about that process is the comprehensive plan is recommended by the county commission to the planning and zoning commission. So the planning and zoning commission has final say on the comp plan. So that'll be something that will update you as we go along, and see how that process works. And then the Planning and Zoning Commission will make the revisions to the Land Development Code and recommend those to the County Commission. So they kind of cross, which is unique. But the idea of updating the comp plan was discussed at a County Commission meeting recently as well. So I think there's some momentum towards that, and we'll kind of see how that goes, and I'll update everybody as it goes along. But feel free to reach out to me at the office if you have questions.
And Kip, correct me if I'm wrong, we're currently operating under the comprehensive plan that was drafted in 2008.
Yes, sir. 2008 comp plan, 2011 land development code. So it's, generally every 10 to 20 years is when you want to redo those. We're pushing that time limit on the comp plan. So it's time to at least start looking at it.
All right, do you have anything else?
That's it. Thank you.
I would call to adjourn the meeting.
Adjourned.
Adjourned.